Welcome to Inside the Program, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Eric Naleen, going to talk a lot of portal, a lot of updates of players coming and going. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Today, we'll talk about Texas retaining Sadir Mitchell, but seeing others depart, provide more transfer portal visitor updates, including a new commitment to talk about. What does Texas still need in the portal? And then go over some of the postseason accolades that Kelvin Banks and Jahdae Barron were able to earn. We've seen a lot of players go, Eric, whether it be, Justice Finkley, Javian Cole, Tia Savea, Darian Gillette, Aaron Bryant, a bunch of different names. We saw Sadir Mitchell enter the portal, and then about 24 hours later, actually, he never entered. He said he was going to, but 24 hours later, it was reported that he's not going to actually enter the portal. How big of a just keep is this for Texas, especially when you're looking at a team that's going to need defensive tackle help?
Well, if you trust the coaches, you always want the coaches to keep the players they want and get the players they want through the portal or recruiting. So the fact that they're able to keep Sadir is important. Obviously, there was I would say there was no miscommunication between Sadir and the team. I'd say there was no communication. He went in without talking to Sark. A lot of times these players will talk to coach, ask them about their future with the program. He jumped in without having talked to Sark, and that caught some people by surprise. They figured that he had a pretty good fall, certainly since August and September, and they felt like he wasn't in no threat to leave. Obviously, Sadir felt different, but they were able to keep him in the fold. It's big. Obviously, they need defensive tackles, and the bigger they are, the harder they are to find.
This is someone that we know Texas put a lot of effort into recruiting from the New Jersey area. Borgen Catholic, Kyle Flood's neck of the woods. Definitely going to be somebody that Texas hopes is a part of the 2025 campaign. Was there any big loss you felt from any of the guys that entered the portal, whether it be Savea, Gillette, Akana, Cole, from that group?
Not really. A lot of these guys didn't want to leave. It's it's kind of the same old story with the portal. These guys are really happy at Texas. They want to stay and compete, but there's just not a great path to the field. No, with Finkley, I guess what I'm a little bit surprised by is if he hasn't gotten his degree yet, but maybe he has. He's a pretty sharp kid, so that would be the only thing. But it's never a shock when a guy that's not playing or has been jumped by a younger player is not playing. So, or he already got jumped on the depth chart. So no surprises at all. Sadir was a bit of a surprise. I think I made that pretty clear on IT. I was caught off guard, just because my understanding was they wanted to keep him.
Let's keep on going, because Texas is obviously, even with the college football playoff home game upcoming, they're going to want to be active in the portal. They are active in the portal. And we've already seen them active in the portal. They added a punter from Utah. That is Jack Bomeister, someone who has really excelled in the Big 12 and addresses a weakness that a lot of Texas fans saw play out over the course of the season.
Yeah, something I wrote this morning is they're not really worried about Michael Kern's leg strength. They're more worried about his punting skill. Can he kill the ball inside the 5? Can he use the sideline as his friend? I'm not sure that Baumeister has a stronger leg. I know that's counterintuitive to what we saw this year from both players, but they're intentionally trying to keep Kern kicking it high and short and just covering it, because they don't have the same gunners that they had before, although Warren Roberson is coming along. But this is just more about getting more punting skill while Kern figures it out. I would be surprised if Kern left just because they brought in this guy, but we'll see. But again, I think the main takeaway is they're not really worried about Kern's leg strength long term. They just want him to be able to pin teams. It's an art back there. We saw Michael Dixon do it all the time. You got to pin him deep, and you got to use the sideline as your friend.
One of those things where this is a one-year rental. I think he'll be a 6th or 7th year senior, maybe, from Australia. This will be his 3rd school. But Utah's had some good experience with punters. I think they've had a couple Ray Guy Award winners, and if this is an area you can upgrade immediately, always a good idea to do so. Texas has also hosted a couple players from the Big Ten from Purdue, one being tight end Max Clare, the other being, I forget his first name, last name is he's a defensive tackle, last name Brevard.
Cole Brevard from Purdue. Yeah, he's on campus right now. Clare, the tight end, really good tight end, really talented tight end, visited yesterday, had a good trip. They spent a little extra time with him. Gunnar Elm talked to him about, how the scheme works. I know he hung out with Arch Manning a little bit. Got to see the town, from what I understood, not just the campus and not just the program. But we'll see. That one, I didn't hear the greatest thing about who he wants to see next. I heard, or maybe not next, but I heard he wants to see Oregon. So, that will be that could get interesting between Texas and Oregon. But he's a fantastic tight end, definitely a really good receiver. Maybe not the greatest blocker, but a decent blocker. And it would be a very big get if they could get him. Brevard is basically your number 2 nose tackle. He would take Bill Norton's place. Not flashy. It doesn't really register with fans like it should. I think they're just hard to find. You want experience, you want size, somebody that can take up blockers and really, keep the other guys fresh. So I think they would still obviously be in the mix for other defensive tackles if they could get Brevard.
Claire to me, best player on a very bad team. That always stands out. And like you said, defensive tackle is hard to find. We've had more updates in the recruiting humidor, and even in what you wrote over on Inside Texas this morning about transfer portal. But the big name seems to be the wide receiver from Georgia Tech, Eric Singleton. We'll be taking a visit to Texas Monday. Longhorns have been in on all the big transfer portal wide receivers, it feels like, over the past few years. How do you see Texas getting involved in this one?
Yeah, normally they're pretty patient, but Singleton is the type of talent that's in line with guys they've gotten in the past, so they can't really sit idle on this. I think they're perfectly fine with him going around making the SEC tour last week, or earlier this week, I should say. And now it's time to go see Texas next week. And I think Texas will have a lot more clarity about what it will take to get somebody like Singleton. Will they want to do it? We don't know. But obviously Texas is very attractive to any wide receiver. There's going to be playing time for any experienced and explosive athlete. And, we'll see what comes of the visit. But he's one that obviously Texas has been interested in since even before he went in. There was a lot of talk that he was going in before he actually entered. And I think Texas was aware. So I bet they'll have a good plan, but very, very competitive recruitment for sure.
Before we keep on going, got to show some love to our sponsor. That is Andre the Lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
Of course, we invite everybody to head to Inside Texas. We've got an active portal tracker. We've been posting that on our Twitter page, so go and check that out. But what does Texas still need in the transfer portal? I think we all kind of understand the defensive tackle part of things. Even with Sadir Mitchell coming back, they lose Aaron Bryant, Tia Savea, Jere Bledsoe. There goes some names, just names in general, numbers in general. And even with Josiah Sharma, Moran Charles, and Justice Finkley coming in, they're going to need some help. So defensive tackle, obviously, but where else might Texas be looking in the portal?
Yeah, where aren't they looking? I can see them taking every single position remaining except for punter, which they just took. So 3D tackles, maybe even an edge with Finkley leaving. They need a linebacker or two. They need a safety. They need a corner. Offensive line is up for grabs because they don't really have depth at tackle. They could use a little bit more depth at guard. So it's getting hot and heavy here. The problem that Texas has right now is that they feel like better players are going to jump in, and Texas always plays this game that fans get a little antsy and anxious because Texas has way more patience than fans. But you have to remember that Texas is working with more information than we are. They have a better idea who's going in. You've got 12 teams in the playoffs right now. 8 of those teams are getting ready to play before the portal closes. And so the teams that have losses are going to lose some guys, and if they're on a playoff team, they're probably pretty dang good. So Texas is going to remain patient and see how the ball bounces. Meanwhile, they'll still be, building relationships. They're evaluating pretty much anybody that goes in the portal is getting an evaluation. But this is going to be, it's going to get wild because Texas has so many needs. They don't like to leave anything to chance on the roster. You might think that they're good at a position, or I might think they're good at a position, and they're still going to go take it just to address it. We saw the injuries at running back this year, how it felt like that was a stacked room, 2 injuries within a week, and all of a sudden things look differently. They don't want to leave anything to chance. So expect a very aggressive month for Texas off the field and recruiting, and then hopefully a playoff win against Clemson.
Should be a lot of fun to track. Finally, the fun stuff, the stuff that makes you, even with all the stuff going on in college football, makes you still remind you why you're still a big college football fan. And that's guys like Kelvin Banks, Jahdae Barron winning postseason honors. Kelvin Banks on Thursday won the Outland. On Wednesday night took home the Lombardi. Outland goes to best interior lineman. Lombardi goes to best lineman, I believe. And then Jahdae Barron wins the program's 3rd Jim Thorpe Award, given to the best defensive back in the nation. saw those two, Kelvin Banks, first team All-American, Jahdae Barron, second team All-American. Anthony Hill also is a second team All-American with the Walter Camp Football Foundation. Just seems like this is a proper reward for guys who, a testament of development in a certain way, being a fifth-year senior, and another a testament of development in maximizing a 5-star that Texas now gets to sell on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, 2 5-stars, Kelvin and Anthony Hill. I think Anthony was a 5-star. Should have been if he wasn't. And then Jahdae Barron should have been, I think, 24/7 out of 4-star, but everybody else had a 3 on 3 didn't exist at the time. But we were very excited when they got him from Baylor at the last second. I think it's a testament to all the above. Banks came in more ready than any offensive lineman I can recall. His second game was going up against Alabama, Will Anderson, and Dallas. What's his name? So I mean, he was thrown into the fire, and he responded. Jahdae Barron, that tells you to delay gratification. Come back for that extra year, improve your draft stock, get better, get back to your right position too. He was. I don't know that he's out of position at star, but we all knew that he was a corner in real time. They didn't move him to star because he couldn't play corner. And then, Anthony Hill, a testament to him, kind of like Banks, but also they're recruiting the right people. They're putting him in the right position to succeed. But that guy's been all about football. He's had a great career so far. He's going to be the highest profile defensive player going into next season, I think. But yeah, it says a little bit about everything. They're picking the right guys, and these guys are picking the right schools. Kelvin Banks picked Texas when they were 5-7. So there's a lot of trust and relationships and development going on right now, and it's just getting started.
That'll do it for this edition of Inside the Program presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and again, head to InsideTexas.com where we will be able to provide so many different updates all weekend, all the way through playoff prep. So Eric, thank you so much. We'll see you next time on Inside the Program presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.